Good morning. Happy Friday, Miami sports fans. Welcome back to the Miami Sports Break. I'm David Eversole, joined as always by my partner, Jakari Givens. And we have a special guest joining us today, Dave from La Terrain Watches. We're going to chop it up about his company, tell you all about our new partnership with Five Reasons, and talk some college football and NFL. So, going to be a great show. I know we're joining everybody a little bit early today. So, how you guys doing? First of all, Dave, thank you so much for hopping on with us on this Friday morning.
Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it should be a great thing. So, tell us a little bit about your company, La Terrain Watches. I know a lot of you have seen them out there on social media. So, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the watch business and some of the things you're doing right now.
Oh yeah, sure. So got started in the watch business probably about 3 years ago now. I've been a watch collector for a few decades or a couple decades. I'm not to age myself too much, but a couple decades, and it was one of those things where I started to see like what was coming out, what was popular, and I just wasn't that impressed at what people could afford. Right, like for like $100, wasn't really impressed with some of the brands that are out there. So I went off and I did my own thing. Found some manufacturers, I found the suppliers, and I was able to make it so that you know we have a bit of a global supply chain where we're getting parts from here, parts from there, we're putting it together, and we're making our own stuff. And it's been a heck of a journey in a very short time, getting to meet people like yourselves and to work together with a great bunch of great brands and a bunch of great people to really just build like a quality community that rallies behind just wristwatches that will have value and last a long time without having to spend thousands of dollars. Like everybody talks about Rolex, but it's like five to you know six figures for a Rolex watch. And I mean your iPhone has a clock on it too. So we want to bridge that gap a little bit to make sure that people have something nice that they can wear and doesn't cost them an arm and a leg.
No, they're beautiful watches. I know a lot of people in the network are very interested in how they look. We have a lot of watch guys in our crew. Jakari's one of them right there. So I love them. The Compass. They're really clean. They're beautiful watches. The Navigator. You guys have you got a great eye for design and style. And I'm really excited that you engage with everybody online too. You're the face of the company. These are your watches. It's pretty cool to have that direct connect with a company like that, and watching you guys grow and engage with everybody across the community. So, Jock, have you checked out some of the pieces? I know we were talking about it the other day.
So we're actually on the site as we speak.
Oh, nice.
We got the Voyager. It's probably look like the most popular watch right there.
Yeah, Voyager 1893 got on today.
But this watch here, right here, the Compass and the Legacy 2 is great watches. Very affordable. You see, $130, $100.
Everybody loves the
nice watches.
I'm gonna bring up the Compass here, so just hang on a second, because I was talking about that with one of my buddies. So I think that's it's definitely a beautiful watch. So what inspired you on the Compass?
So on the Compass, I had been selling the original Legacy and the original Voyager, which were like these minimalist watches. They didn't have, they're not flashy. They're just your hour hand, second hand, that's second hand, right? With the Compass, I wanted to have a chronograph. I wanted to have a spirit watch that I think appealed to a lot of people. It's one of the classic designs that people have. When you look across all brands, they all have a chronograph if they're established brands. And so this watch took me quite a while to make, actually. Just trying to get like simple things, the shade of red correct. To make sure that it pops when it's on your wrist, and you don't just ignore that there's a red sweep hand. Make sure that that's the right red color. So we actually took a page from automotive for this watch, and that red is kind of like a Ferrari red, because I wanted it to be something that when you look at your watch, you're like, oh, okay, you can see it immediately. It stands right out. The other thing I wanted it to do is to be accurate. So we were looking at different movements that movement is like the engine of the watch that allows it to run. And we want to make sure that we chose a good one that was known in the industry for delivering good value, good timekeeping, and being reliable. So we were able to find that. And then of course it having to be stainless steel, because we know that this thing's going to be worn every day. We want to make sure it's like not going to get scratched up, nicked up. And honestly, that's been the most popular watch that we've had. It took me about 6 months of different revisions, going back and forth on the design, changing different things, and it just took off. I think I've sold over 100 of them now, which was way beyond what I had expected when I first did this. But what's been amazing about this in particular are some of the people that they buy it and they just love it. They come back, they write a review, they send me messages, they get photos on social media. I'll share them to the Instagram account, and I think that's like the community builder watch really has been the Compass, and
right,
love it.
Now let's talk about the community a little bit, because obviously we linked up on Twitter, and I have some colleagues across other platforms across the country that work with you as well, do some other partnerships and create content, get the brand out there. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy in terms of like engaging with people on social media and sort of like the grassroots thing of building the business, crossing over with the sports, which we're going to jump to that next, kind of how that all ties in with you and La Terrain, the brand, etc.
Oh, that's a great question. So it's myself, and I have a business partner named Benjamin. Benjamin's kind of like the business development, handles like the marketing in some aspects. But one of the things that we wanted to do was, this is not a big brand, right? It's literally me, a bunch of inventory, and Benjamin just trying to work through orders, just trying to do the outreach. So, we wanted to be able to deliver that message of, we're starting from the grassroots, like you mentioned. We're not, MVMT or Timex or any of these large brands. We actually want to talk to every single individual customer to make sure that they're happy with our watches, to make sure that they are getting what they want. And the strategy has just basically been treat people like we want to be treated as a customer. I mean, if you go to a brand, are you going to want to have a sales pitch thrown down your throat the first time you interact with that brand? Probably not. But would you like to talk to the founder, maybe see why they went with this design, or what they put into that particular watch? Sure. And my DMs are always open to talk about that. I mean, I've even helped out other brands in terms of like, they asked me, what should I do for my next watch, or what should I do for how did that advertising campaign work for you? And so I'll freely share that information with people, because I think at the end of the day, we're just trying to find our way in the business, but also just try to help as many people as we can. Ultimately, we want the brand to kind of resemble a family in some ways. So we like to say, welcome to the La Terrain family, because at the end of the day, we want to keep working with everybody. It's not just one purchase. It's, what can we do to help you in the future too? So that's kind of the strategy we've been taking. Also, social media, there's different audiences across our different platforms. So on Instagram, we've been investing heavily. Definitely check us out on Instagram, La Terrain Watches. On there, we have business tips, entrepreneur tips, things that can help people motivate themselves a little bit more. And then, we tie in the watches to that as well, because it's part of the overall, style. It's part of the overall, motivation factor. So, there's a lot of good avenues that we go through with this.
Are you guys looking to do smart watches next, or is that something in the works?
So the smart watches is something where I struggle, honestly, and the reason for that is that I know that they're definitely very popular. I mean, the Apple Watch is just kind of taking over the industry, but I struggle with it because I know what these things actually cost and what they're being charged for in the market, which is kind of the reason why I got into the whole business. So like an Apple Watch really costs about $5 to make, and you see what they're being sold for. So it's one of those things where, if I go ahead and do this, like I'm going to have to charge something a little bit more appropriate for what it actually would cost us to make, because I don't want to price gouge. And I don't have the brand that I could go out there and say, hey, you want this, So it's something that we've kicked around, we discussed. We have some prototypes. So maybe next year.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm happy to be a part of the movement, and I'm actually gonna purchase a watch this weekend.
Oh yeah, nice. Well, make sure you use the promo code.
Yeah, I will. 5RSN. I will be using the promo code, and the Atlas.
Yeah, we got that.
I think I get that. I gotta get the Atlas though, Dave.
Do it, man.
And the Atlas is I like stainless steel watches more.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
it's
Yeah.
wear anywhere. I like being able to switch it up, something that's versatile. But speaking of switching it up, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. I know we've got a lot of interest coming up on the season, both with college and NFL. Obviously, now I found out this morning that Dave is actually an Eagles fan, and they've got another Alabama quarterback there with Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts. So we wanted to get your thoughts on the NFL a little bit and talk about some sports for the next few minutes while we're here. So give us your thoughts on Hurts and the Eagles. What do you think of the team this season and the NFL overall?
Oh, man, that's a great question. So I like Jalen Hurts. I think that we need to give him some games under his belt to see what he's got at the NFL level. I think that they've done decent with drafting some weapons to go around him. We have obviously good tight ends that he can pass to get out of trouble. But I think it's just going to be a wait and see. I think that when you look at the roster and you see what they've done for the backup quarterback situation with Minshew, with Flacco, it's apparent that I think they're going to give him a leash that he can go out there and he can show what he can do and prove himself. But I don't think they're going to throw him off in the deep end. So if he starts getting in too much trouble, they'll have relief to come in that's experienced to help him get through those times and also to help coach him on the sidelines as well. So I think it's going to be a wait and see year for him. I think he's got good potential. Obviously, the team's been through a lot of quarterbacks over the last decade, and so it's the most important position. So I think that they're really trying to get it right and investing in him, giving him all the opportunity that he's going to need in order to succeed.
Yeah, y'all had it right for a while with Wentz, but Wentz, I like that's probably one of the biggest mysteries in NFL history. Like a guy that just lost it. Like some of the things I would watch him do on film is not fixable. So we'll see if he can get back to himself. But I love Hurts as well. I think he's a great player, and I think he's a winner, most importantly.
Yeah, I mean, the Wentz situation was tough. It was really tough because, they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl if it wasn't for him. He went 11-0. He had the MVP level season, and he came out and threw that touchdown on a bad knee. I mean, the guts of that guy to do that. He got them to the playoffs basically. So I think with Hurts, it's going to definitely come down to just reps, experience building, and just making sure that they put him in the right situations and don't leave him out there overexposed when he's not ready for it. So I'm hopeful, but realistically, rebuilding year for them. I'm not expecting them to do much in the NFC East.
NFC East is tough, very deep now.
Tough.
All four teams are decent. Like any one of those teams could theoretically win the division. Honestly, it's not
every year. Yeah, every year it's funny because like the teams' records won't be that great, but between the teams is very tough for them to.
They just beat up on each other basically. They all go 1-1 against each other, and then they end up 9-8 or whatever. So with 17 games, it's going to be pretty interesting. Have you followed the Tua situation at all down here? I know they've kind of been beating up on him in the Northeast and pretty much everywhere else across the country. So
I saw some headlines, but I didn't dig into it. What's going on there?
Well, it just the national media. It's like they're just looking for something to talk about with him. Like kind of unlike with Jalen Hurts, they're not really giving him like the opportunity, like in terms of perspective. But we're excited down here for both the NFL and college football. And I know you're in North Carolina, correct?
Yes, I am. Yep.
North Carolina plays tonight. I think they play Virginia Tech. Open up the season.
Oh man!
Now our audience might be interested to hear who's your college team, Dave.
So I grew up near Philadelphia, so I'm much more of a pro sports person. So I mean, more Philly sports. But when I went to college, I spent a couple of years at Clemson. So I've been following Clemson.
Look at this.
Let me put this in the
John. Save the Clemson bomb for last.
Yeah. When I went to Clemson, though, Woody Dantzler was the quarterback. You had Rod Gardner at wide receiver. I mean, it was about 20 years ago. So things have changed quite a bit. Davos took over, and they've had a lot of success with him. And I think the game this weekend is going to be huge to see just how good they actually are this season. I know that Georgia's a very good team. So we'll see how that holds up on the secondary, especially.
I'm looking forward to that game.
Any score predictions for you for that game?
So I was doing some research this morning because I didn't want to come in here, completely unarmed. And for these games that start off the season between like the top seeds, I think the average margin of victory is something like 20 points over like the last 8 years between like the top 5 teams when they match up to start the year. And I think the top ranked team has only lost like 1 time over the last 8 years. So, I think it's going to be a great game. If it follows that trend, it's going to be a very exciting game to watch, depending who you are, what fan you are of which team. But I think it's going to be a really high scoring game, truthfully, because of Clemson's secondary issues and the quarterback from Georgia just lighting it up.
Yeah, that's definitely the marquee game.
I'm actually taking Georgia in that game because I think they're the better team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, in the SEC. I think there's going to be a little bit less separation in there. Alabama lost like 90% of their roster. And obviously down here, we're pumped for the Miami-Alabama game on Saturday. And I think Alabama's up to like a 19.5-point favorite or something. I'm expecting a good game out of the Hurricanes in that one.
Yeah, I think it's too early to be making locks on predictions just yet. We don't know fully what the teams are capable of. They're going to have new players and new roles, and I think you'll know more by midseason. But the early games are exciting because I think both teams are still trying to figure it out. Figure out how to run the plays, stuff like that. So
it's going to be especially exciting, especially after a year with no fans. Now you're going to come back to packed houses. You seen last night, if you guys watched any of the games, like UCF and Boise State, Minnesota and Ohio State. Like if they didn't have like fans, they'd have got steamrolled. But the fans keep you in the game, keep you engaged. For college is different because they have to have that energy because kids can't create their own energy all the time. Sometimes you come out there flat, so the fans help. So I think that's what I'm most excited about for the NFL and college, just to go out there and see a full house, especially after spending all last year playing in empty stadiums. The games weren't as intense as they normally would be.
Yeah,
completely agree. I think that 2020 season, it's just that it should have an asterisk by it because you took out the entire stadium and fan factor that I think motivates and drives a lot of the larger teams.
People need the escape too, a little bit of normalcy. So I'm excited for the student athletes, and obviously now with the NIL agreements that these kids are getting too. So they've got a lot more on their plate on a business mentality. So it's going to be an interesting season. Hopefully everything gets right in terms of the virus and all that good stuff. But we're gonna jump off here. I want to thank Dave so much for joining us, and make sure to check out them at la-terrain.com and use promo code 5RSN to get 10% off of all their watches. And we're going to be back here next week to recap the Hurricanes and all the college football action from this weekend. Thanks everybody for watching.